In part 1 of this series, we understood theoretical concepts related to cryptography. We understood that there are two primary fields of cryptography, one symmetric key cryptography and another one asymmetric key cryptography. In this video, we are going to talk about the support of both of them in the DataPower, and we'll see how DataPower supports them. DataPower has both configuration and programming. Using configuration way, you can configure support for asymmetric key cryptography, although there is some support for symmetric key cryptography as well. But symmetric key cryptography is best dealt using the code in DataPower. This asymmetric key cryptography field is also known as public key private key cryptography field. An entire infrastructure is out there called PKI. It deals with the generation of keys, certificates, and then stamping the certificate, ensuring that the certificate is something which belongs to the person who holds it, and so on. So that's a separate discussion. Here we are interested in seeing how DataPower supports public key private key cryptography. So let's get started. For public key private key cryptography, you will have to start by generating a pair of keys. Okay. The first key is known as private key. The second one is known as public key. As I said, arbitrarily you can label them as public private keys. The public key is typically stored in a container called digital certificate. Digital certificate contains public key plus few more information like its validity time period or who is vouching for the authenticity of this certificate and so on. And then there is a third material which is called CSR. CSR essentially is not part of the cryptography, but CSR stands for Certificate Signing Request, is a material required it essentially contains the public key private key, and it is required because you got to upload it on the CA site, whoever is vouching for your organization, and based on this CSR, the CA authority is going to generate a certificate package and will send it across to you. If you do not wish to go to CA, then CSR is useless. And the certificate that you are dealing with is called the self-signed certificate. Otherwise, it is called the CA-signed certificate. Self-signed certificates and CA-signed certificates both are technically same, except for the fact that CA-signed certificate are the ones which you should use in internet-based scenario. If you are dealing with a scenario or integration where you are content within your organization only, then you can have a self-signed certificate as well. And the world has moved far from the way we used to use these self-signed certificates. Now people are typically using a standard authority within their organization, and that authority generates and issues all the certificates that different applications need. So that's totally different aspect of it. So let's come back to the DataPower. Here, how will you generate a public key and private key pair? So you have something called crypto tools. The crypto tool requires you to fill a form. Here, anything not marked as a star means optional. However optional it might look like, the country name is something which I would suggest you to put. It's a 2-digit, 3-digit ISO country code that is provided. Rest all you can skip, but for now, let's put it. State is Delhi. Locality maybe New Delhi. Organization you can put ABC organization. Organizational unit you can put IT. As I said, all these are optional. You need to fill them based on your particular organization. Common name, this is important. This is the name that you cannot fill anything arbitrary. This name must match this name must match the host name of the service where you plan to attach this certificate. Okay, so this is important for you to note. For now, we will say www.example.com, and key type is RSA. Although ECDSA is supported, I would suggest if not specifically asked, go for RSA. Key length is fine. SHA-256 is fine. This is all default. File name, you can just keep it the same. And this is validity period. You can make it 1 year, 10 year, up to you. Password alias, if you wish to protect your private key using a password, provide that. Export private key, this is important. If you do not, so by default it is off. If you do not export the private key, then you will not be able to back it up from DataPower. So choose judiciously. If your requirement is to store it on some kind of a backup media, somewhere secure, choose export private key as on. This is a one-time affair, which means that you will not get this export option later on. Generate self-signed certificate is turned on. Yes, we want to generate it. Export self-signed certificate. This is important if you wish to store the self-signed certificate on a backup medium. So if I do not select this, then my certificate will still be generated, but I will not be able to download it from DataPower. Again, this is one-time affair. You do not do it here and you will never be able to download it from DataPower. Generate key and certificate objects. All these files which are created, they are useless unless they are encapsulated in the form of a object. So objects are important stuff. Do you want to wrap them in objects? Usually we say yes. If you wish, you can turn it off. You can later exercise this option. And since we have selected it on, so object name, it is asking what is the object name that you want to provide. So I'm going to provide the common name as object name. So let's click on the generate key option and see what happens. Okay, so it says generate the RSA key pair and CSR. You say confirm, and then it gives you an option that where it is generated. So I'll take you where it is generated. So now I closed it. I'm going to go back to the control panel, and I'll go to the file management, and let's expand the cert folder, and let's expand the temporary folder. So you see that you have a private key over here. If you want to see the details, you can't do that because it is a sensitive material, so you will not be able to see. Again, it is a self-signed certificate. Yes, certificate is a public material, so you will be able to see the details. You can see that it has the same details as we put there. What is inside the temporary? And why files are inside the temporary? See, files which are inside the cert folder cannot be exported from DataPower. So, files which are inside the temporary folder are the ones supposed to be downloaded from DataPower for backup purposes. So, you see 3 files here. Private key, self-signed certificate, and CSR. How do I save them? If you right click on this, you say save link as, and then you can select a folder over here. You can say downloads folder, and then say text file, and then this save. So you can see that it is saved. If you want to open it, you can open it and see this is the private key that you have. In a similar way, you can save the remaining 2 files. So this is how you generate the public key, private key pair on DataPower. Remember that this self-signed certificate contains the public key. This in itself is not a public key. Okay, but then public keys are not distributed like you write it on a paper and distribute it. No, they typically take the form of a certificate. Certificate is much like your visiting card, right? You put your address on top of it and then few more information, and then you distribute it among people. In a similar way, this certificate thing that we are talking about, it contains the public key, but it also contains additional information about that public key, like its validity time, issuing organization, and so on and so on. So that is what this SS cert is. It's a self-signed certificate. CSR, this piece is important. Even if you want to discard the self-signed certificate, CSR you want to download it. Why? Because CSR is something which you want to upload to the competent authority, the CA side, which can provide you the certificate package, a signed certificate package against this. So this is about the public key, private key handling in the DataPower. Now, this video is going too long, so I'll cut it short. In the next video, I'm going to talk about how to deal with symmetric key cryptography in the DataPower. And remember, we have both configuration as well as the programming support for the symmetric key cryptography. So see you in the next video then.